pronunciation or English accent, we know that there is a standard British English language category. And apart from the British English, we see American English, okay? A few differences are there. And the efficient listener or the speaker might understand the difference between British English and American English. And apart from the British English and American English, there is another English that is Australian English. That means apart from British and American English, Australian English will have a different pronunciation pattern. And for this reason, we call it Australian English. And apart from these three categories, Australian, British and American, Indian English language will have a special category, and you will understand that it is Indian English. However, there are some categories of Asian English as well, okay? That is our English. What do you follow? We people, we have a long heritage of the British role, and for this reason, British role, and for this reason, British English is easily understandable to us, and we try to follow the British English. But if anybody wants to go to America for higher purposes or the higher education purposes or immigration, migration purposes, then you can learn American English. But my concern is that these are the categories of English language based on pronunciation. So Canadian English language, what is the category of Canadian English language? And what is the origin of Canadian language? In our today's class, we will try to demystify the characteristics of Canadian English and also the origin of Canadian English. Okay, many people or many critic will say that, or many linguists will say that Canadian English will have the similarity with British English, and many people will say that they have the similarity with American English. Okay, so both are correct. Both of them are correct, because Canadian English has a heritage or the historical past with British settlers and also Canadian settlers. Okay, and also for the geographical location, that means Canada and America, they are the neighboring countries. And for this reason, for the geographical location, Canadian English will have the similarity with the American English as well. So in Canadian English, you will see the pronunciation pattern and the other vocabulary. You will similarity with British English, American English, and some will say the Spanish or other European countries' English. Okay, so we will try to solve the answer. How does Canadian English look like? Okay, and in Canada, as you see, can you see everybody the slide?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. In Canada, first English language came in Canada in 1497. And why? In this year, John Cabot reached in Newfoundland, a coastal area of Canada. And if you see within the parentheses, it is an European term of North America and South America. Okay, so this is the Newfoundland. So John Cabot reached over there at the coastal area of Canada in 1497. Who is this John Cabot? If we look over there, John Cabot is an Italian explorer, and he born in Italy in 1450. However, in 1490 decades, he had been living in England, and he has got a commission from King Henry VII to make an expedition towards the northern Atlantic. And this John Cabot developed an idea actually before the invention of plane. The people, especially were seafarer, they are navigators. They are sailors. Okay. So, and also they are also called explorer. So John Cabot is an explorer who was born in Italy, but however, at the end of the 15th century, he had been living in England, and he got a commission of England King Henry VIII to make an expedition towards the northern Atlantic. And after getting the commission, this man, the John Cabot, started from Bristol. Bristol is a southwestern cities of England. What happened there? Waiting room. Okay. Okay, some people had been waiting in the waiting room. Okay. Okay, I tell you, within the class, if anybody goes or anybody leaves the class, okay, then he or she has to connect once again, okay, and I will get a notification in the screen to allow him, okay. So without any interruption, if you want to go out, okay, without any cause, don't try to do so. Try to stay in the class. Okay. Anyway, so Twin Hussein, what happened to Twin Hussein? Twin Hussein again went to.
Twin Hussein wants to join the class, sir.
Okay, but I allowed him. Twin Hussein, can you hear us? Shaila Liza. Shaila Liza. Okay, if anybody doesn't hear me clearly, would you please raise your hands? There is an option. If you put the cursor, most probably you know, isn't it? Everyone, do you know? Raise your hands.
Yes, sir.
If you have any problem, okay, then raise your hands and we will try to solve the problem. Okay. What I was talking, that John Cabot is an Italian explorer. So at that time, many people, they were the investigator, they were the explorer. So this man, John Cabot, was born in Italy. However, at the end of the 15th century, he had been living in England, and he got a commission from the King Henry VIII to make a everyone, the student who will not be talking, please keep your microphone muted. Okay. So this man, John Cabot, gave an idea that that sailing westward to reach the reaches of Asia. Okay. And for this reason, he started from Bristol. That means the southwestern city of England. John Cabot started from Bristol with 18 crew in his ship. That ship is called Matthew. Okay. And he reached over there in the Newfoundland, and Cabot went there and saw that there is a sign of habitation. That means some people had been living here, but no people over there. So then Cabot went over there, and he hosted both the flag of England and the Venetian flags. Okay. So this is John Cabot. So the Canadian people got the Canadian people got acquaintance of or the got contact of English language in 1497 when John Cabot got a commission from the King Henry VII and went to Canada. Okay, but the migration, that is uh, English migration in Canada, developed a century later. Why? Because not only the British people or British settlers, the French people also went in Canada for the same purpose. The British people were explorer, and also the Canadian people, they are also the, Spanish people, they are also explorer. Okay. The British people, when John Cabot reached over there in 1497, after a century after, the English people became, the English settlers become interested in farming, fishing, fur trading industries. So they became interested for making business with the people of Canada and the Far East or the Asia and the other people. And they also thought that the British settlers, they had been thinking that the Asia are the richest part of this world, and for this reason they frequently, not only the British people, French people, British people, they frequently started to search for the Asian subcontinent for riches, business, and for other regions. So French people also came in Canada, and there was also another navigator, and his name is Jack Cartier. Can you see the screen? Jack Cartier. He arrives in arrives in Canada in 1520 decades. John Cartier. So John Cabot from England, he came to Canada in 1497, but uh, Jack Cartier, he is from France, and he went to Canada in 1520 decades. We can have a look to uh, John Jacques Cartier. This man is a French explorer and made 3 voyages to Canada during the mid 16th century, and the first in 1534 and second one in 1535, and the and but he returned French and claimed that a river could be a passage to Asia. As I had been talking, that not only the British people, the French people, the Dutch, all people had been thinking that Asia is the richest part of this world. And for this reason, they would come frequently to make business with the Asian people. Okay. So this man, Jack Cartier, he came to Canada and reported to France that Asia is the richest part of this world. And not only that, this is a way, that means the North Atlantic way is a waterway leading to Asia, could be found through the North America and South America. So he also reported. And in 1541, the King of France ordered Cartier to establish a colony in North America. Cartier, naturally, after getting the commission from their French king, he tried, but he failed. He failed. And after that, French didn't explore the New World again for more than 50 years. So after 1541, there was no effort came from the French side. This was the situation. And as I had been talking, that not only the British people, the French people came over here in uh, Canada for business purpose and others. But the French people and the British people, they had enmity always. Okay, always they had in a wire situation. Okay, and the conflict between English with the French continues. Okay, and French surrendered during the 18th century following their defeat in Queen Anne's War, and the French and the Indian War. Okay, so in 1702 to 1713, there was a war, and that war is called the Queen Anne's War. This was between, this is a series of wars between the Great Britain and France in North America for the control of the continent. Okay, North America, that means the Canadian part. Okay, uh, there is a control. So at the beginning of the 18th century, a war uh, occurred between French and Great Britain. And what is the reason? The reason that they wanted to take control of this area. And it was contemporary, contemporaneous with the war of the Spanish succession in Europe. Okay. And the English settlement were subject to brutal raids by the French forces and their Indian allies. Okay. So French people, Indian people, British people, all were in the Canadian continent at this time. Okay. And there was another war that happened in 1754 to 1763. And this was the French and the Indian War. And pitted the colonies of the British America against those of New France, and each side supported by the military units from the parent country and by the American Indian allies. So the French and Indian War had been happening. So the host country, that means the Canadian people, also had been supporting both the French and both to the Indian people. And at the start of the war, the French colonies had a population of roughly 60,000 settlers. That means in 1754, and uh, uh, that means in the second half of the 18th century, we see the number of people living, number of French people living in Canada is roughly 60,000. However, in comparison with them, the 2 million British people had been living. That means in one hand, 60,000 French people, but 2 millions, that means 20 lakhs British people had been living in Canada at that time. So the outnumbered French particularly developed on the, dependent on the Indians. So French and India, they took one side and the British people had been taking the other side. So these are the historical situation we see in Canada at the, in case of the contact of English language in Canada. So when at the last of this slide, we see that the French surrendered during the 18th century following the defeat of Queen Anne's War that, that occurred between French and Great Britain, and the French and the Indian War. When they defeated in this war, then British people got prominence in the Canadian province. And not only that, the other they defeated, that means British people defeated French people, but the French people were not wiped out. Okay, they had been living in Canada. Okay, and in 1750 decades, thousands of French settlers deported from Arcadia, modern Nova Scotia. Nova Scotia, this is the name of an state of Canada, and replaced by the settlers from the New England. Okay, so when British won the fight between France, and also they defeated Indians as well. And at that time, many people who had been living in Nova Scotia, they were driven away from this state. And the English settler had been taken place in this state, that means Nova Scotia. Does it make sense?
Nova Scotia.
Okay, Nova Scotia. It is the name of a Canadian state. So in 1750 decades, when British people defeated French and also the Indian people, many people who had been living in Nova Scotia, they were driven away from this Nova Scotia, and the English people started living in this area, that is the Nova Scotia. And successively, the number increased by many coming directly from England, Ireland, and Scotland. So England, Ireland, Scotland, they are the UK, that means United Kingdom, their language is English, but the French people, they use French language. Okay, they have a different language. Okay, so the Canadian people got acquaintance with English language in one hand because the large number of settlers went over there in Canada. And not only that, they defeated, that means the British settlers defeated the French people. And the large area was occupied by the British settlers in Canada. And the name also suggests that Nova Scotia means New Scotland.
Scotland.
New Scotland. Okay, so if we see the map over here, the idea will get clear. That means here, can you see the cursor?
Yes.
Yeah, cursor. This is the Newfoundland. Okay, this is the North Atlantic Ocean. Okay, and this is the Arcadia, and this is the Nova Scotia. Okay, and this is New England. So the people started to come over there, and at this area they had been living, and then they started fighting. The war between French and Great Britain, and after the fight, many people left this Nova Scotia, okay, and went to the other parts of Canada. And gradually, the people, that means the English settlers, started to move Montreal and Quebec, especially the people who were driven away from the Nova Scotia. They especially go to the Quebec. And for this region, you will see that Quebec and also the Manitoba, this area, the French language is used. And also here some English people also went over there, that is the Ontario. Okay, these are the several states of Canada. What happened then? After this situation, another shuffle came for the US Declaration of Independence in 1776. So before this period, America was the province of Britain, isn't it?
Yes.
And America and the Canada, the surrounding country. So America was totally controlled by the British administration. Okay, and these are the Canadian part, and Canadian part also we have understood that at the very beginning of the 18th century, there are nearly 2 million people British people had been living in Canada. Okay, so, but when America declared independence in 1776, what happened over there? Okay, there were supporters, loyalist supporters of Britain. That means the United Empire loyalists found themselves unable to stay in the new United States. When England declared, who are the loyalists? That means at the time of declaring, or when America declared independence in 1777, then the loyalists, they said that we are uncomfortable to live over here in America. So who are the loyalists? Loyalists are the American colonists who stayed loyal to the British crown during the American Revolutionary War, and often called Tories, or royalists, or the Kingsmen at the time. And they were opposed by the patriotists who supported the revolution. Okay, and called them person inimical to the liberties of America. Okay, so when America declared independence, so America was a province of Britain. So the British people had been living in America, but among the British people, some British people supported American independence. They are not loyalists. The British people who supported that America will still be the colony of Great Britain, they are called loyalists. Have you got the point?
Yes, sir.
These loyalists, after the independence, they are uncomfortable to live in America after the independence of, after their independence. So what happened there? And found themselves unable to stay in the new states, and most left for Canada, settling first in what is now Nova Scotia or Nova Scotia. Some pronounce this in such a way, Nova Scotia or Nova Scotia. Okay, so the loyalists left America and came in this area, Nova Scotia. Have you got this? So left America and came, many loyalists left America and came in this area, that is Nova Scotia. So before their coming, British people outnumbered French people and the other people. However, after the independence of America, many loyalists left America and went to Canada. They were soon followed by many thousands. They are so-called late loyalists who were attracted by the cheapness of land. Okay, late loyalists, after that, after the independence, at the time of the independence of America, some loyalists went over there in Canada, and they are followed by some other loyalists. Okay, the first group of loyalists, they were uncomfortable to live in America, so they left America and went to Canada. But some other loyalists, they thought that in Canada, the land price is very cheap, and especially in the upper Canada, above Montreal and the north of the Great Lakes. Okay, that means, look here, Ontario, upper Canada. This is upper Canada. Okay, and this is the lower Canada. This is Ontario, upper Canada. Okay, so the people, the late loyalists, they thought that the Canada is a very large country, very big country on the geographical area, and the land are very cheap. And still, you will see that many area are unoccupied by human being. Okay, less number of people had been living in Canada. So this so the late loyalists, they went to Canada for the reason that the land in Canada is very cheap. Especially they went to the upper Canada, that means the Montreal and the north of the Great Lakes. Within 50 years, the population of this province had reached 1 million. Okay, and over 31 million were estimated in 2001. So at the initial stage, or at the second half of 18th century, at the time of the American independence, many loyalists left America and went to Canada, and they were followed by some other loyalists. They thought that the land of Canada is very cheap, and they went over there. Okay, and after the American independence, the population of this province, like Montreal, the population was 1 million. But in 2001, it is estimated that nearly 31 million people had been living in this area, with 2/3 claiming English as their native or home language. And out of 31 million people, 2/3, that means nearly 20 million people, they claim that their mother language and their home language is English. That means the other people, either they use French language and others. So we see that the Canadian English language is a mixture of French and English language. English, not only the British English, but also the American English, for the geographical location and the political location or political purpose. Because people from Britain, from Scotland, from Ireland, from England, and also people from France and people from America all went to Canada for several purposes. Some wanted to explore the waterways. Some went over there to explore the cheap land over there. And some will have making business in Asia and also in this area. So this is the You will see the another Atlantic Ocean, Caribbean Ocean, and Creole language, and most probably Creole and Pidgin. Here, the Caribbean islands showing countries where standard English is an official language in these areas and English based, and Creoles are also used widely. Eh, and countries where Creole we know, isn't it? Everybody knows Creole.
Yes, sir.
Okay. However, we can. This is the Creole language is a stable natural language developed from a mixture of different language. Okay. And unlike a pidgin, a simplified form that develops a means of communication. So English language, suppose if any person goes to English speaking country, just to make a communication, he will be picking up some word. Okay, he can't use the full sentence, but he can say a fragment of sentence to make a communication. This is a Creole language. However, Pidgin is also a sort of communication in a multilingual community. You can make communication in this language, Pidgin and Creole. Okay, so in the Caribbean islands, some countries they will be using English as their standard English, and some will be using English as their not official language, but for the language of communication. Okay, because of its origin. So we have got the origin of Canadian language. Canadian English common with the rest of the English spoken in North America. As we have understood that people came from Britain, people came from America, but most of the people came from the North American region. And for this region, based on the origin of Canadian English, we get similarity between Canadian English and the North American English. Yeah. And we live outside Canada, often find it difficult to hear the difference. Naturally, if we do not go visit Canada or the America, if we do not have the clear idea about the exact pronunciation, we can make the difference between Canadian and American English. That means there is a similarity between Canadian English and the North American English. And many British people for this reason identify Canadian English as American. Okay. However, many American identify Canadian English that it is a British English. Okay. That means only for the basis of the origin, Canadian language get mixtured with British English, American English in such a way. And the American people say, no, this is not our language, it is British language. And the British people say, no, this is not our language, this is American language. Okay, only for the origin of their language. The Canadian themselves insist on not being identified with either group. And Canadian, they said, no, we do not, our English is not similar to British. Our English is not similar to American English. And certainly the variety does display a number of unique features. Okay. In addition, the presence of French as a co-official language and chiefly spoken in Quebec, okay, as Quebec is a province of Canada, and here French language is used as a co-official language and produces a socio-linguistic situation not found in either English-speaking countries. Okay, so English-speaking country, we know that Britain, America, Australia, New Zealand, and Canada. Okay, only in Canada, you will see that French is used as a semi-official language in Quebec. But in New Zealand, all over the country, you will see the only category of language that is English. Australia, America, and Britain, that is no difference. But in case of Canadian English, some province, and also Quebec, and also Manitoba, you will see that their language is French. French is their first language, official language. But in Quebec, French is the co-official language. That means English and French, both are the official language is in Quebec. And this is the origin of Canadian language, okay? And I have mentioned the source. That means I have taken this source from David Crystal book, The English as a Global Language. Okay, so if I summarize the first session of this class, that means the origin of Canadian language, Canadian English, that at the initial stage or the last stage of 15th century, John Cabot, Italian navigator or the explorer, he went from Britain, he started journey from Bristol and went to Canada. And after that, another navigator and explorer, and his name is Jack Cartier. He started his journey from French and he went to Canada. And they had been living over there. And not only the people from Britain and Canada, but the Indian people had been living in Canada. And the French and the British people, they had the enmity with each other. And at that time, there was a war between French and the Britain. And when British people got victory in the fighting between them, then many people left, many French people left Nova Scotia and went to the other side of Canada. And apart from that, many people, when Britain defeated French and Indian in their fight, then many people from England, Scotland and Ireland went to Canada to settle over there for business purpose or some other reason. And at the time of the American independence, many loyalists who had been thinking that they are uncomfortable to live in America, they left America and went to Canada. And some late loyalists, they also went to Canada. And for this reason, origin of Canadian English is derived from British English, American English, and French. And for this reason, we see the Canadian state, that means Quebec, they use French as their co-official language. And Manitoba, they use French as their official language, French. Okay. However, the American people say that Canadian language English will have the similarity with the British people, but the British people will say that the Canadian English will have the similarity of American English. But the Canadian people Canadian people do not agree with any group. They say that we have the different, we have our own English. That means English is our native language. Okay. Any questions? There is a portion, if you touch your, at the end of the slide, you will see that you will see some a reaction, okay? And then you can raise your hands and you can ask me a question regarding this session, okay? Have you understood, everyone?
Yeah.
Does it make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay. If you have any question, Shah Rijuan Chaudhary, can you hear us?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You joined late, is it?
Yes, sir.
Have you understood?
Not much, but most of the things I try to understand.
Okay. Amena Akhtar Mili.
Yes, sir.
Have you understood?
আর আমি ফার্স্টে ক্লাসে ছিলাম না স্যার, পরে ঢুকে অনেক কিছু বুঝতে পারতেছিলাম না।
Acha. And do you have any question to me?
নো স্যার, পরে আবার দেখে নিলে ঠিক হয়ে যাবে।
Okay. And Fatiha, can you hear us? Fatiha? Okay. Most probably Fatiha. Fatiha, can you hear us? Okay. At the first stage, many people will have problem attending the classes. Okay. So it's good that online classes, many students are participating. Okay. We are nearly, I see 14 participants. That's good. All have attended. Fatiha, most probably Fatiha will have some problem. Aisha Noor to everyone. Sir, I didn't get the materials. My email is, your email is, your roll number, Aisha. Aisha Noor, you didn't give us your roll number.
My roll number is M190102511.
Okay. And will you tell us your email? AYESHA.
AYESHA
Okay, Aisha.
103359.
No. Tell us your email. That is
103359
3359
at
at
gmail.com.
Gmail.
Yes, sir. Gmail.com.
Okay, good. So your email was not inserted over there. Will you tell us your mobile number? 01
019
9
30
30
21
21
93
93
07.
07. Aisha, is it your first class or did you attend any other classes?
Oh, sir, it's my 4th class.
Okay, good. But I have got the email address and roll number from
I
others.
have collected the materials from others. till
Okay.
now.
Okay, no problem. Okay, I have saved your email address. Most probably you haven't got the email message as well. Okay, next time you will get. Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, and any other questions? Tuhin Hussain?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
No, sir. I have no question.
you have no questions. Marjia Anami? Okay, now we will go to our next slides. You will have 5 minutes break.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you, sir.
Okay.
স্যার 10 মিনিটস দিলে ভালো হইতো
জি স্যার।
স্যার নামাজ আছে
Okay, 10 minutes break. That means now in my laptop watch, it is 5:33. So we will start 5:43. Okay.
43 ওকে স্যার
Okay.
543
স্যার।
Okay, I have stopped my video. You can also stop your video. This is my profile pic. Okay.
নেলসন ভাই
ভাই কি খবর?
তো কি শুরু থেকে কি শুরু করছিলাম, আমি তো ছিলাম না।
তো একবার ডিসকানেক্টেড হয়ে গেছে।
শুরু থেকে কি শুরু করছে না রাকিব?
ভাই সবকিছু কিন্তু রেকর্ড হচ্ছে, নিজের সঙ্গে কথা বলছি।
তুই বুঝাই দে, আমি ছিলাম না।
রাকিব
এ
শুরুর থেকে শুরু।
তোরে ব্রেক দিছে, যা নামাজ পড়ে আয়, হালাল ব্রেকটা হালাল করে আলো।
বন্ধু তুমিও ধুমা সাইডে আসো বন্ধু।
না না, আমি নামাজ পড়বো ভাই।
যাও না, একসাথে দোনোর কাজ করে আসে। ধুমা সাইডে উজু করে নামাজ পড়ো।
এই রাকিব ভাই, মিটিং কিন্তু রেকর্ডিং হচ্ছে ভাই।
হ্যাঁ
ও আচ্ছা আচ্ছা,
দেখেন
তাহলে
না
আমরা
recording।
তাহলে পরে আমরা ডিসকাস করবো না নাকি?
ওকে ঠিক আছে।
লিভ করতে পারেন মিটিং, কিন্তু
হুম।
রেকর্ড হচ্ছে, কিন্তু রেকর্ড
মানে
হচ্ছে।
মিটিং এখন আপনারা ব্রেকের মাঝখানে মিটিং লিভ করতে পারেন চাইলে।
চলতে থাকুক, এর মাঝখানে নামাজ পড়ে আসি তারপরে।
হ্যাঁ আমি নামাজ পড়ে আসি।
নেলসন ভাই, ফার্স্টে মানে আমার ফোনটাতে কি প্রবলেম হয়, মানে আইডি পাসওয়ার্ড দিয়ে ঢুকতে পারি না, বুঝছেন?
কেন?
মানে কেমন জানি, মানে ওই আগের আইডি কেমন জানি থাইকা যায়, টাইপ করতে নিলে এরকম একটা অবস্থা হয়।
আপনি তো করেন না, গুগল থেকে ওইভাবে আসেন।
হ্যাঁ
আপনি তো গুগল থেকে রেজিস্টার করেন না, আপনি মনে ডাইরেক্ট ফোন কিভাবে করছেন এটা?
ওই অ্যাপ স্টোর থেকে করছি। পরে আবার সেট অফ করে আবার অন করলে আইফোনে এরকম প্রবলেম হয়, কিন্তু অন্য ফোনটাতে এই প্রবলেম হয় না, বুঝছেন?
ওখানে কোনো অপশন থাকে না মিটিং আইডি পাসওয়ার্ড দেওয়ার?
মিটিং আইডি অপশন থাকে, কিন্তু অপশন টাইপ করলে চারটা লেটার টাইপ করার পরে আবার উল্টা পাল্টা লেখা উঠে, মানে আগের গুলা থেকে যায় কেমন জানি। কেমনে দেখাইতাম? আচ্ছা একবার ভিডিও করে দেখা মনে।
এই নেলসন ভাই,
হ্যাঁ রাইট।
এই আমারটাতে আইডি, এটা তো আইডি দিতে হবে।
আইডি না দিলে ভালো কথা, এখন আর আইডি
না না,
রিনেম নাই কেন
আইডি
রাকিবুল ভাই?
আইডি দেয়া দরকার নাই,
এই রাকিব ভাই, এই জায়গায়
হ্যাঁ।
রিনেমটা নাই কেন? আমি তো রিনেমের করতে বল, রিনেম তো আসেই না এখন, কারণ কি?
এটা তো আবার হচ্ছে না তো, আজকে গতকাল করলাম, আজকে তো আর হচ্ছে না।
ও আচ্ছা,
রিনেম অপশন আসে না, দেখছেন?
ও এটাতে রিনেম অপশন আসে না, কি জানি, বুঝলাম না। স্যার কি অফ করে রাখছে?
ওই তো কথা, রিনেম তো আসে না।
এখানে আসছে মিউট বাই অডিও, মানে মাই অডিও, স্টপ ভিডিও, পিন ভিডিও, অ্যাড প্রোফাইল পিকচার, হাইড সেলফ ভিউ। আমিত ভাই,
হ্যাঁ, কি
ব্রেকে
বলেন?
একটু মুড়ি টুড়ি খান, আপনি একেবারে
দেখি। আচ্ছা, ফাইল নেম আসছে, এখানে কি করা যাবে নেলসন
না
ভাই?
না, রিনেম।
এখানে আমি ক্লিক করলাম,
প্রয়োজন
বুঝছেন?
নাই,
এখানে
করা দরকার নাই, আইডি নেম
দরকার নেই।
লেখার দরকার নাই,
উনি তো
জাস্ট
চাই
নাম
নাই,
আছে, নাম থাকবে, দরকার নাই, বাদ দেন।
বাদ দিই। উনি তো চাই নাই, ঠিক আছে।
না না, সেটাই। উফ,
রাকিব ভাই, একটু খাওয়া দাওয়া করে আসি।
ও
হ্যাঁ
আচ্ছা
ঠিক
আচ্ছা,
আছে।
খাওয়া দাওয়া করে আসেন, আমি নামাজ পড়ে আসি, অনলাইন থাকুক নাকি?
ক্লাস করতেছে। No, no. Everyone, can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Can you see the slide?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Salah.
Sir, we cannot hear the sound. We cannot hear,
কানাডা সম্পর্ক পড়া করছি।
Can you hear the sound?
we cannot hear
Yes,
the
yes, yes, sir.
video sound. I mean,
But the video sound, can you hear? Cannot hear?
Yes, sir.
No.
sir, because of the earphone, you have plugged your earphone in the laptop. That's why we cannot hear.
Conquest.
Now can you hear?
Yes, sir.
Can you hear the audio sound?
No, sir.
We can
Video?
hear you. We can hear you, but we cannot hear the sound of the video.
Video sound. Okay, next time I have to understand how to share video in your screen.
স্যার অনেক সময় ওই ইয়ারফোন যেটা দিয়ে আপনি শুনছেন ওইটা যদি আপনার ল্যাপটপের সাথে মানে প্লাগ অবস্থায় থাকে অনেক
হ্যাঁ।
সময় ওই সাউন্ডটা আমরা শুনবো না কিন্তু আপনি শুনবেন অনেক
আচ্ছা,
সময় এরকম হয়।
তাহলে এটা কি খুলে দিলে শুনতে?
হ্যাঁ হতে পারে, হ্যাঁ একটু ট্রাই করে দেখতে পারেন।
আচ্ছা, খুলে দিলাম।
এখন ভিডিওটা একটু
তাহলে শেয়ার করতে হবে। You can write the chat box or raise your hands if you. Nelson, can you hear?
হালকা আসছে স্যার, ইট ইজ কামিং a little bit, not fully.
Royalists, or to the British settlers at the end of the 19th century, or to some combination of
Yeah, now coming, but
somehow
সাউন্ড বাড়াই দিতে হবে নাকি?
following the establishment of a pretty homogeneous
হ্যাঁ স্যার এখন ঠিক আছে, অনেকটা একটু আগে ঠিক ছিল।
You can hear.
Part of the country was opened up for settlement.
আগের চেয়ে একটু বেটার কিন্তু একেবারে কমপ্লিট
সাউন্ড বাড়াই দিতে হবে
Railway on the links of the railway, which most of Western Canada to settlement. And that settlement
স্যার কম্পিউটার সাউন্ডটা কম্পিউটারের যে ইয়ে সাউন্ড মানে ইউটিউবের না কম্পিউটার সাউন্ড
is also America. Was also expanding westward as American settlers ran out of the good food in the United States. Many of them began crossing over into Canada to take up homesteads on the prairies. But the largest group, both numerically and most influential in a social sense, were Canadians. The largest group of those was Ontarians. Would have brought their Ontario English with them, and that Ontario English in a slightly modified form became the
এখন আসে
Western Canadian English, and that accounts for why we have such a high degree of homogeneity across Canada.
Okay, I have. Okay, I have inserted the video link in the slide. Okay, so if you
that will be better.
get time, you will see the video. Okay. Now let's move on to the second part of our class. Okay. And
Sir, you are in dark.
I'm in dark.
Yes.
Okay.
So we can see you.
Okay. I'm in dark. Now can you see? Now can you see me?
Yeah, we
You
can see.
but in dark mode.
Then I have to keep the light on.
Yes.
But the light is so hot.
এই নাজিম ভাই স্যারে তো দেখা যায় আপনি কি বলেন এই সমস্ত
দেখা যায় কিন্তু ওই যে অন্ধকার অন্ধকার লাগে অস্পষ্ট।
কই আমরা তো ঠিকই দেখি আপনি নিজেই তো অন্ধকারে
Now
আছেন
can you see me?
না স্যার আরো ভালো করে দেখতে চাই একটু লাইট মোডে।
Okay. Thank you. Now can you see the screen?
Yes sir.
আমার এখানে ওয়েটিং করতেছে স্যার আবার দেন এই করে।
হ্যাঁ
আমার এখানে এখনো আসেনি। তারা আগের মতো আবার এই করে ক্যান্সেল করা হবে।
Blank, sir.
Blank.
Blank.
Yes, sir.
Now?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, it's okay.
Yes.
Okay, good. Two people are waiting to in. Yes.
আর এটা ডিসেবল করে রাখলে কেমন হয়? ওয়েটিং
কোনটা?
রুমটা? ওয়েটিং রুমটা?
হ্যাঁ ডিসেবল কিন্তু আবার ওই দেখা যায় যে
অনেকে হয়তো অনেক সময় নেটের কারণে ডিসকানেক্ট হয়ে যায় তখন
হ্যাঁ।
আবার
তখন আমি নোটিফিকেশন পাবো বড় ছোট ক্লাসে সমস্যা হয় না কিন্তু ওই বড় ক্লাসে একটু সমস্যা হয় এখানে তো 14 জনের ক্লাস নো প্রবলেম এট অল ওকে আমরা একটু জানার চেষ্টা করি আমরা আজকে origin of Caribbean English. Okay. Do we know that which countries are called Caribbean countries?
African.
Actually, these are the Caribbean countries.
Caribbean, not the American countries. That is
This is the Caribbean Sea. Okay.
Caribbean.
And Jamaica, Cuba, San Domingo.
Sir, actually, it is the central point of North America and South America.
Actually, if we see that,
Caribbean islands, countries of Caribbean islands.
okay, Caribbean is the region of the Americas, okay, and consists of the Caribbean Sea, its island, and bordering the Caribbean Sea and the North Atlantic Ocean and the surrounding coast. So Caribbean Sea, North Atlantic Ocean, and there are several islands, and these all islands together are called Caribbean countries. And also the southeast of the Gulf of Mexico and the North American mainland, east of Central America and north of America. Okay. These are the countries. Actually, this region have 700 islands and islets, reefs, and clays, okay, in this area. And they are from the West Indies with the nearby Lucian archipelago, the Bahamas, the Turks, Caicos Islands. All are called the Caribbean countries. Okay. Yes. Which are sometimes considered to be a part of the Caribbean despite not bordering the Caribbean Sea. So Caribbean Sea এর আশেপাশে এবং অনেক দূরের কান্ট্রিগুলোকেও ক্যারিবিয়ান কান্ট্রি বলা হচ্ছে, যেমন গায়ানা, সুরিনাম, ফ্রেঞ্চ গায়ানা, গুয়ানা রিজিয়ন, ভেনেজুয়েলা, all are, even in Ampa in Brazil, all are called Caribbean countries. Okay? And okay, and so what is the origin of this Caribbean English? Okay, during the early years of American settlement, the English language is spreading in the north. Early years of north, in our previous class or previous part of our class, we learned that after the declaration of the American independence, many people spread it from America. Okay, so in the early years of the American settlement, English language is spread it from north in the south to the south. Okay, and a highly distinctive kind of a speech emerges in the islands of the West Indies. So whenever from America, Canada, and after the south, naturally, if we see the world map, okay, I don't know whether I have inserted the map. Okay, here you can see, this is the American map. Okay, can you see the map? Can you see the map?
Okay, yes, sir.
Okay, this is the American parts. Okay, so this is the upper parts of the map. That means the north side. So at the early stage of the American settlement, the American people started from north to south. Okay, and for this region, the West Indies, the people of West Indies, that means the people of this Caribbean countries get a distinctive variety of language. They are all people coming in these islands. Okay, and the southern part of the mainland is spoken by the incoming black population, and some population came in this area. They are black. Okay, how these black people came over here? These black people is the consequence of importation African slaves to work on sugar plantation, a practice started by the Spanish as early as 1577. Okay. The Spanish, they started a sugar plantation project. Can you hear me?
echo sound.
Yes, sir. We are hearing you.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. So at the early stage of the American settlement, the people started moving from north to south. North to south, that means the Caribbean islands. And also, some people came, they are the black slave, okay? And this black slave came to work in the sugar plantation project. And this sugar plantation project was started by the Spanish government. And when by 1570 creates a Hispaniola, an island in the Caribbean, sugar were being delivered back to the king of Spain. So this initiated. And the conqueror of Mexico also became an influential sugar producer. And this plantation had an enormous impact on the economy of New World, to say nothing of introducing African slavery. Okay. So Spanish government introduced sugar plantation project at the early stage of the 18th century. And in this sugar plantation project, the black slaves are used. What do the black slaves do in this sugar plantation project? So look over here, they sowed, they tended and harvested the crop, and then worked to extract the juice from the sugar cane and boil and processes the juice in order to turn into a sugar and molasses, and later they might work to distill some of the waste product into rum. Rum, you know, a special kind of drink, okay? So at the early stage of the 16th century, the Spanish government installed the sugar plantation project, and they became the successful sugar plantation or the sugar plantation producer or sugar producer at the early stage. And the black servants and the black slave had been used in this sugar plantation project. So whenever after the early stage of the American settlement, that means when America started to get control over the Caribbean islands, many people went into these Caribbean islands, and also they were get mixtured with the black slaves. And for this reason, the Caribbean islands, the people of the Caribbean islands get a special mixture or the variety of distinctive quality of English language as the early stage of 17th century or 18th century. Okay. And what happened then? From the early 17th century, ships from the Europe traveled to West African coast, and where they exchanged cheap goods for black slaves. Okay. At the early stage of 17th century, the people of Europe, they actually picked black slave. Okay. And they went to the African coast, so they give them black slaves, and in return they get exchange some goods. Okay, just like as we have heard, sugar, molasses, and others. And the slaves were shipped in the barbarous condition to the Caribbean islands. Okay. When the African coast, they got black slave from the Europe. মানে ইউরোপিয়ানরা এই ব্ল্যাক শিপগুলোকে নিয়ে যায় দিতে হলো আফ্রিকান কোস্টের অধিবাসীদের কাছে, আর আফ্রিকান কোস্টের অধিবাসীরা এদেরকে আবার নিয়ে গিয়ে ক্যারিবিয়ান আইল্যান্ড, যেটা সেই ক্যারিবিয়ান আইল্যান্ডগুলোর এই যতগুলো দেশ আমরা বললাম যে 700-র মতো হচ্ছে দ্বীপ উপদ্বীপ বা দেশ এই ক্যারিবিয়ান আইল্যান্ডে আছে, তাদের কাছে এই ব্ল্যাক সার্ভেন্টকে হস্তান্তর করত। ওকে, and where they were in turn exchanged for some commodities as sugar, rum, and molasses. So look here, at this stage, the black slave were handed over to the Caribbean islands. In turn, they had been receiving sugar, rum, and molasses. So from Europe, black slave would go in the hand of the African coast, and because the people of the African coast would hand it over the black slaves to the Caribbean islands. The ship then returned to England and completing an Atlantic triangle of journey, and the process began again. And the first 20 slave arrived in Virginia on a Dutch ship in 1660, 1619. Okay. So 20, how black slave went to America. It was in 1619 that 20 black slaves were handed over to America by the Dutch ship. By the time the American Revolution, 1776, their number had grown into 500,000. So in 1660, only 20 black slaves were handed over to America, and in 176 years or 150 years, their population from the black people became 20 to 500,000, and there were over 4 million by the time of slavery was abolished. So at the time of they became 4 million. That means nearly 40 lakhs black people became in America. That was started from that 20 slaves that were handed over by the Dutch ship. And at the end of the US Civil War in 1865. So in 1865, there was a civil war in America. At that time, the slavery was abolished. But before that, nearly 4 million black slaves had been starting to live to America and these Caribbean islands. So what is American Civil War? The American Civil War is a war in the United States from 1861 to 1865 and fought between northern state loyal to Union and southern state that had seceded from the Union or from the Confederation State of America. 1861 সালে আমেরিকাতে একটা যুদ্ধ হয়। এই যুদ্ধ হয় 11টা স্টেট তারা বলে যে আমরা আমেরিকার সাথে থাকবো না, আমরা একটা আলাদা স্টেট তৈরি করব, তার নাম সেটাকে দেয় তারা কনফেডারেট স্টেট অফ আমেরিকা। এই কোন স্টেটগুলো ছিল এর মধ্যে? এই স্টেটগুলোর মধ্যে ছিল সাউথ ক্যারোলিনা, মিসিসিপি, ফ্লোরিডা, আলবামা, জর্জিয়া, লুইসিয়ানা, টেক্সাস, ভার্জিনিয়া, আরকানসাস, North Carolina, and Tennessee. These 11 states, they said that we will not be under the control of America. We will be a different state, and we will be calling it Confederate State of America. Okay, and their leader was Abraham Lincoln. They started this war. Okay, but the important thing is that at that time the slavery is stopped in or abolished in America. Okay? And but the black people became 4 million up to this time. The policy of the slave traders was to bring people from different language background together in a ship to make it difficult for groups to plot rebellion. So when the black servant were picked, they were picked from different language. যারা ব্ল্যাক স্লেভ গুলোকে যে পিক করা হতো, এরা যে সবসময় এক ভাষাভাষীর হতো তা কিন্তু না, এগুলো বিভিন্ন ভাষাভাষীর গুলো নেওয়া হতো এবং ইউরোপীয় পিপলরা এগুলোকে পিক করতো বিভিন্ন জায়গা থেকে এবং পিক করার পরে তারা আফ্রিকান কোস্টে নিয়ে যেত, এখান থেকে বিভিন্ন জন চলে যেত আমেরিকায়, আবার ওখান থেকে এই ক্যারিবিয়ান আইল্যান্ড গুলোতে চলে আসতো। যেহেতু এই ক্যারিবিয়ান আইল্যান্ড গুলো অধিকাংশটাই ছিল হচ্ছে আমেরিকানদের অধীনে। Okay, so এই স্লেভ গুলো এই এলাকাগুলোতে চলে আসলো। But the important thing here in this class that the people, the black slaves are not a single language. They are taken from the different language background. And the result was the growth of several pidgin form of communication, and in particular a pidgin between the slaves and the sailors, and many of whom spoke English. Okay, so whenever these black slave came in contact with their master, their owner, actually their owner had been used English. যখন ব্ল্যাক একজন স্লেভকে এই ক্যারিবিয়ান আইল্যান্ডে আসলো, তখন এই ক্যারিবিয়ান আইল্যান্ড যে এখানকার যারা তাদের প্রভু ছিল, মাস্টার ছিল, তারা ভাষা ব্যবহার করতে হচ্ছে ইংরেজি। এজন্য তাদের সাথে কমিউনিকেশনের জন্য, to maintain a communication between the black slaves and the owner in this area, only the English language used as in a form of Creole or Pidgin, because the owner, the landowners of this Caribbean island or the sailors all were the English speaking people. Okay. And that happened so. Okay. And once arrived in the Caribbean, this pidgin English continued to act as a means of communication between the black population and the new landowners and among the black themselves. Okay. কেন? ব্ল্যাক স্লেভরা তারা তো তাদের মালিকের সাথে হচ্ছে কথা বলতোই ইংরেজিতে, পাশাপাশি তারা নিজেদের মধ্যেও ইংরেজিতে কথা বলতো। কেন? কারণ তাদের স্কিন কালার ব্ল্যাক, কিন্তু তাদের ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ ছিল এক না, তাদেরকে বিশ্বের বিভিন্ন জায়গা থেকে পিক করতো ইউরোপিয়ানরা। এজন্য এই ব্ল্যাক পিপলেরা নিজেদের মধ্যেও ইংরেজিতে পিজিন ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজে ব্যবহার কমিউনিকেশন করত, আবার তাদের মালিকদের সাথেও এই ইংরেজি ভাষাই, সে ইংরেজি ভাষাটা আসলে নট ইন এ স্ট্যান্ডার্ড ফর্ম অফ ইংলিশ, ইট ওয়াজ a pidgin or the Creole, that means a fragment of English language to make communication between the among the black slaves and between black slaves and their owners. Okay, does it make sense? বুঝা যাচ্ছে আমার কথা?
Yes sir.
হ্যাঁ, মাঝে সাঝে এই রাশলিং সাউন্ড শুরু হয়ে গেছে। Then there were children were born. এরপরে কি হলো? When their children were born, the pidgin gradually became to be used as their mother tongue, producing the first black Creole speech in the region. Okay, so they started using pidgin language in the communication when their children were born. That means when the black people gave birth to children, these children started to speak in English language as their mother language. And this is it is this Creole English which rapidly came to be used throughout the southern plantation and in many the coastal towns and islands. Okay, so this English started to use all the Caribbean islands, and at the same time standard British English language was becoming a prestige variety throughout the area. Okay, and because of the emerging political influence of Britain. Okay, so they started to use English language, and gradually they were trying to, the people living in these Caribbean countries, they were started to learn the standard British English, because always it has become a prestige for the people living in this Caribbean island that they know English, but their English was below in standard. They upgraded their standard of English language, and in this way English language became their first language or mother language or native language. Does it make sense?
Yes sir.
Okay. And Creole form of French, Spanish, Portuguese were also developing in and around the Caribbean. তাহলে এখানে যে শুধুমাত্র ইংরেজি ক্রিওল ফর্মে ব্যবহৃত হতো তা কিন্তু না, এখানে স্প্যানিশ, পর্তুগিজ, ফ্রেঞ্চ, কারণ এই যে ব্ল্যাক স্লেভগুলোকে পিক করা হতো, এরা যে শুধুমাত্র এই এবং যে মাস্টার যারা ছিল এখানে, যেমন আমরা যদি বলি আমেরিকা এবং কানাডা থেকে যে মানুষগুলো হচ্ছে ক্যারিবিয়ান আইল্যান্ডগুলোতে চলে গিয়েছিল, যারা সেখানে গিয়ে ব্যবসা করতো, বিভিন্ন কিছু করতো, তারা যে শুধুমাত্র ইংরেজি ভাষাভাষী তা কিন্তু না, পাশাপাশি তারা স্প্যানিশ ভাষাভাষী ছিল, ফ্রেঞ্চ ভাষাভাষী ছিল, পর্তুগিজ ভাষাভাষীরও ছিল। ওকে, and some of these interacted with both the Creole and the standard varieties of, অনেকে এই স্প্যানিশ ভাষাও কথা বলতো ক্রিওল, আবার অনেকে আবার ইংরেজি ভাষাতেও কথা বলতো। The Caribbean island and the parts of the adjacent Central and the Southern American mainland thus came to develop a remarkably diverse range of the varieties of English, reflecting their individual political and cultural histories. Okay, so we see a English language in these Caribbean countries that will have a special variety. Okay, that means a mixture of several tone or the accents. Moreover, West Indian speech did not stay within the Caribbean islands and moved well outside, with large communities eventually found in Canada and the USA and the Britain. Okay, so the people living in this Caribbean country successively moved to Canada, USA, and Britain in these areas. Okay, so in short, this is the origin of the Caribbean language, English language. Okay, so if I summarize the origin of Caribbean English language, we will see that there are nearly 700 islands in this Caribbean basin, and they had been in contact with the several English language speaking community, and most of the people, they went from America to these Arabian countries, and after that many European people, they picked black slave, and handed over to African coast, and this slave gradually moved to the hand of America, and then this slave went to these Caribbean islands. And these black slave are not a homogeneous linguistics group. They are the different linguistics group. So these people, the black people, had been starting to use English Creole or Pidgin to make communication with their masters in one hand. In another hand, they had been talking in English